that pulls you away from the mind control. Because no matter who you are, what you think, there is mind control going on. And on an unconscious level, it is happening. And we all know about it, but it is so subtle. It is so tricky that there are times we're not even aware of it. So when we are aware of why our minds make this world go around, and when we are aware of the importance and the power of our minds, then with that knowledge and with that knowing, you're able to identify things coming, things that this reality throws out at you, to get you to fall in line. And I'm going to mention some of the tactics that you should be aware of and not fall for. Because a lot of the tactics used to make you fall in line is bullying, ridicule, right? Ridicule. The tactic of ridicule. I did a YouTube on it a long time ago. I'm going to redo some of those videos because they're still relevant and put them out so that they get pumped out. The tactic of ridicule is what's used. And generally, that's the one that's used from a distance, from social media and places where people can't really get a direct hold on you. The ridicule is used like you're so behind the times, you're so judgmental, and all of these words that they know people don't want to have placed upon them. But you must embrace all of these words. Being judgmental. I'll get into it, okay? I'll get into it. Being called judgmental. Being called old-fashioned. They use these words to make you feel like you're out of phase. Remember, they're just words. But if you're not aware of the tactic, then those words have power. But if you're aware of them, those words carry no weight. Because you see the tactic coming. And once you see the tactic coming, you can choose not to participate. Or if you're in a situation where you must defend yourself, you're able to do it in a very adept fashion. Right? So, first of all, let's learn about our minds. But before we get into that, I'm going to get into how the weapons being used against you right now. Let's get into that first. And then we'll get into the mind, and it'll really expand things. There's 47 of you, so I can get right into it. Thank you all for being here, right? I had a week off because it was banned. Because of a certain subject, which is just a regular subject. From this app. And so I've made certain decisions because of that and adjustments, because you shouldn't be put at the hand of someone who has so much power. So I'm going to take away some of that power, but you'll still get everything. And even more now than before, because I'm going to create other opportunities so that one can speak freely and educate in a way that is total and complete, without anybody deciding that they don't like what you say because they're going along with whatever it is that's being piped out and trumped out there. So let's talk about the tactics that are used. I mentioned one a little earlier, ridicule. The tactic of ridicule is meant to shame you into your place. It puts you into your place by making you feel like you are a bully, when in fact the tactic being used against you is bullying. You are teased into compliance. And so I'll give an example. I want you to, so you say you are, let's use something that's, so you say, let's use this. So you say you're a genius. I want you to prove to me you're a genius. Or I'm going to challenge you. You're just saying you're a genius, but you have nothing behind what you're saying. Take that logic and apply it to things that are happening today, even to you. So the fact that you ask why someone feels they're a genius, they don't give you an answer for something they put out there and put in front of you. They ask you, so you don't believe that I'm a genius? What are you discriminating against me because I said I'm a genius? And you don't believe me? How dare you? And all you did was offer a question because you want them to validate what it is that they're saying. And they attack you by challenging the fact that you even have the nerve to actually hold them to close scrutiny and ask them why they believe what they believe. Because these people have nothing but empty comments and don't even believe what it is that they say, but they say it because it's part of a fad that they're now a part of. So when you challenge them, because they want you to buy their story. And so you might be in a situation where you're at work or something and someone brings up a subject like that and you aren't able to just walk away and just, because in cases like that, most of the time, the best thing to do is not to participate. That is your biggest weapon. Not to participate with these people and their nonsense. But there are times where you can't. So you have to challenge them. And you have to question them. And they'll call you a bully. And they'll call you egotistical. If they're in the so-called fake spiritual, they'll use the ego thing on you. Listen, you're in your ego. Your ego is in control. And so you don't run from that attack. The ego one, this is a very big one. You're in your ego. You know what I tell them? You're absolutely right. That's right. I just put my ego in front. And you deserve whatever it is that you're getting. And my ego is in front because I am still in charge. And the ego is my tool. So if I choose to use it, then you can you can stick it where the sun doesn't shine. Sometimes you have to get that way. A lot of times we think that we've changed, we've worked on ourselves, we've transformed, and we don't want to show any kind of anger. Nothing wrong with anger if it's righteous anger, if it's justified. Nothing wrong with defending yourself. It is in your best interest to do so. Because you've awakened, you didn't awaken to then choose to become a doormat for other people. You didn't choose to awaken to become a doormat for other people. So when they tell you about your ego, you double down on it because you know that you are in the right, that you must defend yourself when you need to. Most of the time. I'm only talking about a small percentage of the time. 90% of the time, you just walk away and don't participate. And when you don't participate, it leaves them in emptiness. You don't have to participate because part of the reasons, or one of the results of participating and arguing with people is that they begin to feed on your energy. So you must be aware of that. But also, you must have balance. You must be in the middle and balanced. If you need to break out the whip, you need to do so. If you need to just leave it alone, you do so. If you need to just walk away, you do so. Everything should be on the table. You're not here to be walked upon just because you woke up and you're not spiritual and all of that. That's part of the deception. To get you to lay down so they walk all over you. Don't allow these people to walk over you. But also be mindful. Stay in control. You're always in control. And then you walk away. No matter what stance you take, you always become the adult in the room. And know when to pick your battles. But never cower or bend to these people. This is not what you're here for. Because a lot of them are just here just to keep us down. That's their number one existence, whether they know it or not. You're not here to be anybody's doormats. Okay, so one of the tactics, I'm going to mention a few here, is ridicule. They'll tease you in so that you get in line. You can never allow that. Never allow that to happen, because it'll be the thing that is used by this reality to keep you in line. Because these people are all slaves of the reality. So when you see them and they attack you and they come after you and they put you in an uncomfortable position, just see the reality within them doing it. And when you talk to them, always, and this is hard to do unless you practice it and have it already set, this is important. You are talking to the controller, the puppet master inside of them. When you do that, you take control of it. Now you are in control of the whole thing. The puppet master, them, and everything in your surrounding. Because it is important for you to be in control, because you have the heart. You have the kindness. You are aware. And you, more than likely, are going to do what it is in the best of everyone. So this reality doesn't want you to be in that position. So ridicule will be used. That's right. And bullying, very subtly. Another thing that will be used is gossip and innuendo. When you see the gossip and the innuendo, you simply, by knowing it, you simply disengage from it. If you're in a workplace, you start doing the things you can do, documenting, writing things down, doing the things, finding out what the policies are, and start doing those things so that you can nip it in the bud. Because a lot of things grow because we allow them to grow. Gossip and innuendo is one of the things people use to get you in line. Look at her. Who does she think she is? Yeah, she's over there talking about going to healing and doing all this stuff. She should have her ass in church worshiping Jesus. That kind of stuff. You see? So when you see that, you automatically know it's the reality. And don't ever take any of this personal. Right? Don't ever take any of this personal. So you should write this down, because I know some of you have gone through this or are going through it. But if you don't turn back and just get in the corner like they want you to, you're able to deal with this. You're able to face it. Because ridicule, gossip, innuendo, intimating or suggesting things about you to get people to think of you in a certain way. Right? So here are the tactics. Ridicule. Bullying, very subtle. Because bullying is not a thing, so they do it very, very sneakily. By accusing you of something so you get in the corner. Gossip. Gossip is destructive and corrosive. Don't you participate in it. A lot of us participate in that. Right? Innuendo. Right? And last, the fifth and the last, reputation destruction. The tactic is to destroy your reputation amongst people. This is why it's very important to know how to clear the energy in a room, even from people. Because the minute that energy has a negative effect on you, you have every right to do something about it. And the most powerful way to do something about it is to know how to energetically clear. So you work on the energy that is manipulating these people, you clear that, and then you stand in your spiritual power and never cower to anything or anyone. That's right. Never cower to anything or anyone. And know the power of your mind, which leads me into the next thing, into the title. right? I talk about all the mind all the time because that is where the battleground is. Your mind. Your spirit is untouchable. The body knows, you see it, you hear it, knows what's going on. And in your psychological, in the physical mind, in the masculine mind, or the conscious mind, you're totally aware of that. But the battleground is in the subconscious mind. Because if it's in the subconscious and it's being supported by the subconscious, that's the thing that happens. That's the thing that happens. So before I get into that, let's go to the questions really quickly. If you haven't, I'm not going to even lie, but I have entertained gossip a little too much. Yeah, and it is. And let me tell you something about gossip. I'm going to add something about gossip. Gossip will never go away. It isn't going anywhere soon. Because gossip activates the dopamine transmitters in your brain. You get a dopamine hit when you gossip. You actually feel good when you gossip. You just need to be aware of when gossip is damaging to other people. And stop that. And there is something called positive gossip, where you say things, but it isn't destructive to other people. It's actually positive. In the corporate world, they call it the grapevine. And they get a lot of valuable information about people, how people truly feel from the grapevine, because people, they won't say certain things in a meeting, but they'll say it in the grapevine where there isn't any pressure. So here's an example of positive gossip. I'm not even going to go through the negative gossip because you all know it. Positive gossip. Here's an example. Tim, he has great ideas. He even has a solution for the problems going on in the mailroom, but he never talks about it because he never says anything in the meetings. But when you're talking to him personally, he's got all the answers and he's got some great ideas. I wish he would just freaking mention them and give them to management so that we can get some of these problems fixed. You see how that's positive gossip? It gets around to Tim and it encourages him to speak up more. But that's not the majority of the kind of gossip that we hear, is it? It's the one that does, yes, Tasha, the one that I can't stand gossip even from my closest friends. It's always made me feel so drained. Yeah. Because negative gossip opens you up to that. Absolutely true. Oh, here you are. Okay, Nathan. Would love to hear. Yeah, Nathan has a question about the Great Central Sun. And I want to answer that because he asked it a few days ago. And I want to get right to it. The Great Central Sun is never talked about or discussed. You'll never hear about it in school. But it has an energetic, it exists energetically just like everything else. And it exists physically. It is the Great Central Sun, or some say the Great Spiritual Sun. And when we talk about the solar plexus that's here, the solar plexus represents the Great Central Sun, not our sun, which, by the way, in English does not have a name. All the planets, but our sun doesn't. Now, the Mayans have a name and the Egyptians have a name for our sun. The Mayans call it Kanichajua. That's the name of our sun. And of course, the Egyptians refer to that sun as Ra, which is also a being. The sun god, Ra, is also the name of our solar sun, an Egyptian. The Great Central Sun is the sun that our solar system or our sun revolves around that sun. In existence, everything revolves around something. There's this kind of revolution that happens. Our earth spins. It revolves around the sun. The moon revolves around the earth. If you look at the atomic level, the electrons revolve around, or the part of in the nucleus revolve around the protons and electrons. Right? There's this revolution. So our sun revolves around the great central spiritual sun, which is located around the area of the Pleiades and the dog star Sirius. At certain times it is more in Sirius, and then as it moves back into the Pleiades. That's where it's located. They never talk about it. Because that's the sun where everything in this galaxy is controlled. The control center for this galaxy is within the great central sun. Every 26,000 years, the photon belt, or the light belt of this sun, you can look up the photon belt on the internet. You can see that. Where's this photon belt located? It's located around that sun. Every 26,000 years, that photon belt shows up and is in line with the Earth. And there's energy and light emitted from that belt that comes to the Earth, and consciousness raises during that time. You know where we are right now? We're in the photon belt of the great central sun. And consciousness is raising. Do you know why they spray the air with the toxins from the chemtrails? To block the photon beams coming from that sun onto the Earth. That's one of the main reasons why they do it. And they double down on it because the heavy metals from that also weigh the body down and blocks those photons from entering the body and evolving it. But they've failed because the evolutionary process is not going to be stopped by gimmicks. Because the alchemists are here and they know how to transform that stuff so that it works for us, not against us. And they try to put the alchemists to sleep, which is why this live is so important, because I'm going to talk about that. So that is, in short, the great central sun. Last thing I'm going to say to you is the origins of the human spirit lies within the great central sun. That is the great ancestor. That's where you come from. You don't come from a monkey, like Darwin wants you to believe, and like these idiots dumb you down in school want you to believe. Watch my latest TikTok on that. On how most 98% of children are born geniuses by the genius standard. Your divergent and creative thinking abilities. 98% of children between 4 and 5. By the time they get to grade school, it goes down to 30%. I'm talking about genius level. And by the time they are in high school, it goes down to 12%. By the time they're adults, only 2%. Did I say that the battleground is your mind? Your mind. And so when you spend time on yourself, you take away the power from those who want to capture your mind. Your mind is what makes the world go around. Not money or any of that foolishness. Because right now they're worried. They're worried because the number one commodity and the number one skill they need in the 21st century is creativity. Not how well you can add and subtract, but how well you can create, bring something from nothing. Right? And this is why we're talking about the mind today. You're going through the ridicule? Yeah, just know it's a tactic. And don't empower it by processing it. And look to the practical things that you can do. If it's at work, there's all kinds of policies against that. And the minute you start taking those steps, people start worrying about their jobs. They'll cut the crap real quick. But you must do it in the right way. I don't know where you're experiencing that, Angie. But don't be afraid to use those things that are there for you. Really just one entity. I have no idea what that means. Okie dokie. We're going to get into the meat and potatoes right now. Thank you all for sharing the live. And please give the live some likes so that we get more people that this information will be valuable for. And that's how we get more people in here. I really appreciate it. Hit that like. Let's get it up to 15,000 in the next couple of minutes. Yeah? This is how we work together. Hit that like button. We'll get it going the next 15 minutes. If some of you who are used to being here, Energy Flow is back. She's back from London. Was I supposed to see and read a clock in my dream last night? I seen a digital clock, specific time. I don't know if you're supposed to, but you weren't in the dream realm. You were in the astral realm if you saw clocks and time. Because clocks and time do not exist in the dream realm. Because the dream realm is created by your subconscious mind. The subconscious mind does not know chronological time. So if you see time and clocks in your dream, you are in the astral realm. You're not in the dream realm. Time and space made to be the pages. Both infinite and instant are the stars and ages. Okay. As in the solar plexus, yes. Right here. The solar plexus is actually a part of the body. This is called the solar plexus. Not the chakra. The chakras are an implant. I'm talking about the solar plexus in the body. I won't get into the chakras right now. I might do a live on that pretty soon. But no, it is... I'm referring to the solar plexus of the body. Well, the thyroid problems definitely are throat problems. By the way, I'm not saying you don't have chakras. I'm saying eventually you will move on to be more evolved where the chakras, which are not evolved energy centers, they're actually meant to hold you down. But if you have them, you must work with them until the day that you get together with your higher self to dissolve them, to go back to the original energy centers. You're born with 3 original energy centers, which are not chakras. It cannot be manipulated. They don't need to be maintained or anything like a machine. But if you do have them, then you need to maintain them. And you just keep working on yourself and evolve. And tell your higher self that you would like to have them removed when the time is right. Do not have anyone remove your chakras. And then the original 3 will come back online, and they cannot be manipulated. They don't need any maintenance, just like your heart doesn't need you to do anything special to it. Your lungs breathe. They don't need you to tell them how to breathe. These chakras, they get gunked up. They turn in the wrong way. They turn it too fast. They're gunked up. They're not spinning in synchronicity with each other. That doesn't happen inside. and they exist 6 inches outside of you. I will do a live we'll talk about the chakras, but I'll do that next week because this week's live is going to be stay consistent with what we're talking about tonight. Because your mind is way more important than any chakra. Your mind. So, let's talk about how your mind works in a very, very simple way. There are 3 ways that we think, right? We think using imagination and logic, right? So when we are using our imagination, that is known as divergent thinking. It's all psychology. You can look it up, even on the internet, because I've got this picture here, just so I can refer to. Maybe I can show it to you guys, and you can see this. See that? This one represents divergent thinking. This one represents convergent thinking. I'll explain what all that means. Don't worry about it. I will show this chart from time to time. Right? So, let's talk about convergent thinking. Convergent thinking is known as critical thinking. Very important. Critical thinking, or vertical thinking, or analytical thinking, or linear thinking. Just most of us are used to the term critical thinking. It is using the conscious mind. You have 2 minds. You have the conscious mind and the subconscious mind. The conscious mind is the one that you're watching me with right now. It's the one that we use a lot and we're asked to use. We're very familiar with that because that's where we process thoughts. That's where we have all the things going on. That's how we learn. That's how we figure things out. All of that is used by the conscious mind. Its job is to do that, get you through the day and maneuvering throughout in your life. And it's also there as a protector for what goes down into the subconscious mind. What goes down into subconscious mind. That's why you don't want to watch TV. And you know when you see some people and they're watching TV nowadays, they're like this. You're in a daydream state, and your conscious mind is not doing it because it's relaxing, and because you're in a state where you can easily be programmed. That's why they called television, the boob tube back in the day. It's called the boob tube. It literally dumbs you down. It's one of the things used to dumb you down. Because at least if you're listening to the radio, you have to use your imagination to make a picture of what someone's talking about. The TV, it's all done for you. The computer, the games, it's all done for you. You don't have to imagine what the picture looks like. It's on a screen for you. You don't have to, even if you're watching a silent movie, you don't have to use your brain to kind of figure out the signs. You don't have to watch for the signs and symbols and everything to kind of figure out what's going on. Your brain isn't working. So when you're watching television, the sound is there telling you what's going on. You don't have to think it through. The visuals are there. You don't have to use the mind. You just sit there, and the mind is not working at all. So none of these processes are working. So what you want to know about your mind is this. Convergent thinking is when you take facts and you use facts to logically come to a conclusion or a solution. 2 plus 2 equals what? 4. 2 is a number. That's a fact. Another 2 is a number. That's a fact. When you combine them, you get 4. That's logical thinking. That's on a low level critical thinking as well. Logical thinking, critical thinking. So you're taking things that are already in your mind and you put them in a way to solve a problem. But you already know the facts, you already have them, and you solve the problem. right? And in that way, the mind works. And that's important to do everyday tasks. And we're actually talking about the brain here more than the mind. I'll check that, the brain. And so when you are using your imagination and your creativity, you're in your divergent mind, divergent thinking. An example of this is brainstorming, right? You have a situation. You have to figure out what's going on. The answer is not in your mind as yet. You have to brainstorm, and that means you come up with different ideas. Here are the ideas, and you throw them all in there. And when you're doing this exercise, you're not worried about quality. You're worried about quantity. You're throwing out everything that comes up. Your imagination is creating, okay, this might do it, this might do it, that might do it, this might do it. And then you come up with a solution from the answers that you have put on the table. So you go within to solve a problem that you have. And so if you can see this chart, let's see if you can see this chart, I'll put it here. You see, this is divergent thinking. You see the arrows pointing out? It means you come up with a bunch of answers. Some of them might be good, some of them might be bad. And from all those answers, you choose the best solution or the best answer. Right? That's divergent thinking. That's using your imagination. When you're convergent thinking, you have all these facts out here that you are aware of, and these facts lead you to the answer that you're looking for. Right? So that's how your brain functions generally. Right? So what you want to do is be able to use both of these aspects of your faculty and your thought process whenever you need them. Whenever you need them. Right? And the idea of using both of them whenever you need them, being able to use both of them, is called lateral thinking. So lateral thinking is easy. Is when you're able to use both sides of these kind of ways of resolving issues, problems, solutions. Divergent thinking, convergent thinking. You use both, and that's called lateral thinking. Now, what happens when you go to school? The first thing they do is they take all of the divergent thinking away. Your imagination is stifled. Your creativity completely snuffed out. So your genius starts to be pulled out of you. That's what our school systems do. We are born creative geniuses. You know, I always talk about the creator within you. Right? The reflection of that creator is right there all the way down to the physical, your brain. Because this is what we're really talking about here now. Your brain shows up all the way into the physical. But our reality robs us of that. Because what's in the creativity? That's where you bring newness. That's where you stream consciousness. That's where the art comes from. That's where the ability to become great comes from. It doesn't come from the logical convergent types thinking. It comes from there. And then you want to bring both of them together. Because let's say you do a brainstorm and you have all these things on the table. Then you shift over to convergent thinking, logical thinking, to select the best solution on the table and come up with the answer. But your logical mind needs something to choose from because it is not a creative aspect. It is based on memory. Your logical mind, logic is restricted by memory. Memory. It is not true intelligence. True intelligence sits in the divergent mind, the creative mind. The logical mind is based on memory. So when they say AI is going to replace you, if you don't know about how you function, if you do not know thyself, you will become fearful. That is why a lot of people are fearful of AI. I'm not fearful of AI at all. Papa G is not fearful of AI. AI is an imitation of us. And if we raise our consciousness, AI must follow because it's the only way it can learn. That's why we must raise our consciousness. And once we do that, there's no need to fear AI. Artificial intelligence. Because artificial intelligence is limited to the logical side. Because it's about the information that you've gathered over time, which we call memory. That's what memory is. We're going to be surpassed in that. There's no doubt about it. We've seen it happen. The best chess player on the planet is a computer. All logic. It's seen every move and is recorded, every move from every great chess champion, and has it recorded in its mind. If there's a player that plays and makes moves that have never been seen before, that computer will lose. And then it will eventually win again once it sees all of the moves, new moves, it memorizes it. It's all memory. That's not intelligence. Artificial intelligence right now is not intelligence. It's artificial memory. If the information has not been placed in the artificial intelligence, it doesn't know what to do. We see that with ChatGPT. We see that with all of this. It is not able to divergently think. It is not. And divergent thinking can be exercised, but you can't really teach that. You can awaken the mind again to be able to think in that fashion, because the mind already has the capability. Your brain already has it. It's just been tamped down. And you can bring that back. Very difficult the older you get, but if you work at it, you can. And if you spiritually awaken and you connect to the unlimited mind, the part of you that knows everything, then that divergence comes right back in a heartbeat. Then you're able to create solutions in any kind of problem. And that's what they don't want. But they have a problem on their hands. They're dumbing you down and dumbing your children down, but they need the creativity as well. So if you do that, your ability to create superior technology disappears. Because technology and innovation, the innovative part, does not come from the logical mind. It comes from the divergent mind. You cannot innovate from the intellectual or logical mind. Innovation, creativity, new things come from your ability to create. Right? So, what does this have to do with spirituality? Oh, by the way, before I get to that, so they've gone one step further. They've created it so that I watch a lot of people who are not even good at convergent or logical thinking. Critical thinking skills. Because that needs to be practiced. That critical thinking skills needs to be practiced. You can learn to think critically. The younger, the better. Because the mind isn't solidly placed in a certain situation where it is conditioned to think only a certain way. You can do that, but a lot of people, logical thinking is far from their way of operating. And what's made that worse is computers and this app with its 10-second and 30-second and 1-minute videos. You get computer brain. And the brain starts to behave like a machine. But you can change that. Start reading books, even if all you can read is 5 to 10 pages at a time. The requirements for reading wakes up certain parts of our brain. Actually reading. Get a book, read 5-10 pages. You can use audiobooks, but audiobooks, again, do not exercise the brain like actual reading. Because many more parts of your brain have to function when you read than when you're listening to an audiobook. Okay, let's get to some questions before I go on further, okay? Thank you guys, we're at 16K likes. And again, that's only important to get more people in, you know, that would want to hear this. I don't want people here who don't want to hear it, but it gets it out there. All right. Okay. Can I tell you anything about dragons? They exist. The earth is a dragon. And the reason why we're so curious, the dragons are the only beings, the only so-called beings that are mythical creatures that are a part of almost every civilization, on flags, everything. Because we are the children of dragons. Yes, that's right. Is journaling also good for the brain? Yeah, journaling is good for the brain, because especially it allows you to the brain to express itself through the fingers. And when information flows from the brain and it's written through the fingers, it's very powerful. That's why you want to journal your dreams. That's why you want to journal the things that you want. Because once it's on paper, it's like a ritual. It is now in the reality. You write it. That's why having calendars and scheduling is good. Because if you think about it, it's a dream. If you talk about it, it's just a story. But once you write it down and schedule it, it becomes real. Just remember that. If you think about it, it's a story. No, it's a dream. If you talk about it, it's just a story. Once you do this and put it on paper, it becomes real. Rich World, did you put your question up? How about channeling? It's getting more popular. Channeling is an ability. It is an ability, and it's been very popular. And I don't listen to most channelers because I don't know who they're channeling. I listen to Bashar because I'm aware that Bashar is channeling his own higher self. Channeling is meant for your own ancestors and your higher self. And if it's not them that you're channeling, I'm not interested. Because many books have been written, channeled books, Some of them are legitimate. I've read one. What's it called? What's Lori Ladd's book?
The Divine Design.
The Divine Design. That's an example. It's a channel book. Wonderful book. When I heard it, much of the knowledge that I had was written in that book too. That I have is in that book too. And then I always check with my ancestors. See, and they'll say, nonsense. They'll right away. So by always communicating with your ancestors and always, even if you don't hear anything, and always talking to them like they're your best friend and they're with you everywhere, you take them everywhere. When you do that, then the channels of communications between you and them becomes wider, and evidence of that is the communication becomes clearer, and you don't doubt what you hear because you're so used to hearing them. They're not strangers to you. Then things like that, they'll tell you right away. That energy right there is nonsense. That person is channeling beings that are on the negative aspect of things. So channeling is good, but you should channel your own spirit and your own ancestors. Otherwise, it's dangerous, and you should not pay any attention to those people. Most channels, not worth listening to. Sorry to tell you. And having worked with people, and again, this is not all of them, but if you have problems discerning of who's a good channel and who's telling her and who's carrying right energy, stay away from them. Just stay away from them. Because the problem with channeling is often there's no proof offered. You're told to just believe what they say, and you don't know who's talking. And a lot of things that I've worked with a few channels before, as in on healing sessions. You go and you look at their aura, you look at their energy field, all kinds of holes and stuff. And a lot of them, the channels that are channeling energies that are not theirs, they're often very physically sick. Because if you're channeling, here's why I say you channel your ancestors. Here's why. Because if your DNA, if you're channeling something that is not in line with your DNA, it can damage your DNA. Because they're not a match. You don't want anything other than your ancestors. Energy flow is a channeler. When she's speaking light language, she's channeling. Easy. But it's always her ancestors. Only her ancestors. And they come out so often, I know who they are. Like, I know exactly. I know what they sound like. I know exactly who it is. So channeling is something that it's an ability. It's good. You should only channel your ancestors and your higher self. Period. And all other beings who want to deliver a message to you, they go through your higher self and your ancestors. Or they don't come through at all. I would make that declaration right away. Because you're on planet Earth. And there's a lot of freaking deceivers and tag-alongs and deceptive fallen beings. Waiting for someone to... channelers are one of their most favorite people because they get to talk to other people, human beings, very easily. I saw my neighbor peeping in my window in a dream. Did you ask yourself what that means? Okay, I think that's it. Not many... I didn't think I'd have a lot of questions on this subject, but it's an important one. And just because it's not going to be super popular with everybody. It's only going to be popular with the right people. And you're here. Hello, wisdom. Join. They renewed their subscription 12 days ago. Hey, sexy everyday. All right. Let's get back to the mind. So we just discussed, I keep saying the mind, I mean the brain. So when you know how your brain works, when you know that the creative part of your mind is what creates, when you know that there's a fear going around because the creative minds are being squelched, that tells you something. This reality needs to keep your mind down and needs to keep you completely dumbed down, but it's not the best thing for it because it needs your mind to survive. But it's also the mind that is its worst enemy. It is damned if it does and damned if it doesn't. You need to take your mind back. And more importantly, do not allow your children to be dumbed down or to be taught ideologies that are dangerous. At the very least, find ways for them to have creative outlets. Don't rely on the school system to do that for you. How do I change my subconscious mind to work for me? This is a great question, and it's going to be a long answer because it's an important answer. Right? The first thing you need, first of all, let's talk about the mind for a little bit, just to break it down a little bit so that this becomes a much more fruitful answer to your question. There are 4 types of mind, and I'm only going to talk about the one that's going to give you the biggest change, or maybe not. We'll see how it goes. You have the buddhi. The sages, particularly the sages of India, have this down pat more than most. And the buddhi is referred to as the intellectual mind, the logical mind, the critical thinking mind. And that's the mind you need to survive here, right? Take a shower, brush your teeth, make that list, go to work, get educated, blah, 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 blah. That's the buddhi. That's the logical mind. And it functions on memory. That is its limitation. It functions on memory. The next aspect of mind is known as the anakara. The anakara. And it is how you show up in the world. The identity that you have. The belief and the self-perceptions that you have. What you believe about yourself. Who are you? If you want to change your subconscious mind so it serves you, you must change that. You must change the perception that you have of yourself. And you must deliver that message to your subconscious mind. The best way to do that is to create a statement. Right? First thing you do is you create a statement. It's sort of like a mission statement. It is not long. And you want to memorize that statement and you want to say it for 30 damn days. Right? I'll give you an example of what that statement should sound like. And you make this for yourself. It could sound something like this. And this is where, if you're really interested in doing this, anybody else here other than the person that asked the question, I forget. You want to get a pen and paper to do this because this is one of the most powerful exercises you can do. And I learned this through much studying. I've talked about my knowledge base, and I went to and fro, wide and far, spent lots of money to learn, and here you are getting it for free. Years ago, this kind of information, people like me had to travel to go get it. It just didn't show up at our doorstep. So this one is very important because you're talking about changing your mind. You must make a statement that lets the subconscious know who you are, the new you, because it already has a vision of who you are, because you've placed that down there, maybe at the instruction of other people when you were a child. And you need to get rid of it because it has lots of limitations. Because most people have limitations and they pass that down to their children. So the statement is, this is an example. I am a galactic being with unlimited potential and limitless possibilities. The word unlimited or limitless must be in there. Those two words must be in there. I am here to serve the planet and humanity in whatever capacity is required, with no limitations. So you can put that word limitless, unlimited, limitless, no limitations more than once to really stress it. And then you go around and you post this. Well, you see it every day. You repeat it every day. And it can't be just something you just say every once in a while. It can't be something you say with no emotion. You really have to mean it. And if you have it written and you see it and you repeat it and you double down on it every day, 30 days or more, 30 days or more, just keep doing it. It doesn't hurt. What effort does it take to take a 20-second statement and keep saying it forever, for as long as you need to? Because then your subconscious mind will take that in. Or it'll say, girl, you need to get rid of this belief system so that this can be true. It'll either adopt it or it'll tell you what you need to do for it to be adopted into the subconscious mind. It'll communicate with you. It'll communicate with you. Also, you want to be unlimited. So you got to get rid of the worthlessness, the lack of worthiness. You don't deserve this. You don't deserve that. You got to get rid of that so I can bring that in. And so you work on those things. And this is one of the ways to do shadow work. You ask the subconscious mind. So when you make that declaration, if you really mean it, it'll go, well, if you want that, well, let's change this here. Let's do this here. And you must believe what you hear and do what it takes to get rid of that. Because we're talking about a big move here. And it's a move you must make. So you must make a statement that you say to your subconscious self so that you develop a new identity about who you are. It is held in that part of the mind, the ankara, the identity that you hold in the form of belief systems about yourself. And you start there. And if you meditate, if you contemplate, not meditate, meditations that aren't doing, you contemplate, you sit there and you just contemplate, dwelling on, and you focus and contemplate on that statement. Because you have to really want it. It has to be a high priority because it's a heavy lift for the mind. Ooh, let me put my phone. Oh, no, it's not. It's a heavy lift for the mind. Not impossible. Something you can totally do, well within your ability. But you must mean it and you must be consistent until it becomes true. Once it's true, the subconscious mind only knows you, fights tooth and nail for you. Anything you believe it works is behind off to make it real. That's how you make the change. Oh, my phone's not plugged in? Why is it not working? Let me see. Can you kindly repeat the statement? My internet was acting up. I didn't get it. Okay, I will. Oh. Why is my phone not? Oh, this makes no sense. Let's see here. This is unbelievable. For some reason, you guys, my phone is not charging, though it's plugged in. It's really weird. Wow.
Is the plug straight on?
It's on. Everything else is on. I'm going to put it in a different plug. Bear with me for a second, you guys. Because I got 16% here, 15% now. And if... Okay, let's see here. Okay, let's see here. I think my charger is gone. It is done. It's really weird.
Is it your phone or the business phone?
It's my phone. If not, we'll have to go until we are out. No, it's working now. I reversed the lead. Okay. So we're not gonna get the plug pulled. Thank you, ancestors, because I don't know what went on there. Appreciate your help here. This must be an important message. So to repeat, how to change your mind so that it works for you.
You've frozen a little bit. Hold on.
Okay. Okay, am I frozen now? If I'm frozen, let me know, you guys. Let's get any energies that are... Okay, thank you, Diana. Thank you, guys. Thank you, Angie, who asked the question. Here's the statement, right? It's an example. You make your own statement. You can take pieces of mine, no worries. If mine applies to you, you can use that too. But as long as you're consistent, the key here, consistently doing this, 30 days at least, and you have emotion behind it. Emotion is the fuel that gets this done, because your subconscious mind has all kinds of stuff running back and forth. It doesn't pay attention to everything, only the things that are important to you. And it knows it's important to you when you have emotion behind it. Now, here it is. I am a limitless galactic being. I am a limitless galactic being. Here to serve the planet and humanity in whatever capacity is needed. With no limitations. Notice I put the word no limitations, limitless twice, because that's the key. That's the key. Okay? Contemplating is meditation. No, they're not the same thing. Contemplation involves the mind. Like we're going to do an exercise tonight. It is a guided contemplation. I used to say meditation. I'm removing meditation from it. Because we're actually thinking and we're applying effort. The clearing that we do, for those of you who've been here before, is a contemplation. There's effort involved. Meditation is the art of doing nothing. In short, when you are contemplating, you involve the mind. And you're focusing on a particular issue that you want to resolve. Or a couple of issues that you want to resolve. Contemplation involves the mind. Meditation is giving the mind a break. Disengaging from the mind. Doing nothing. The art of doing nothing. So someone says, I'm trying to meditate. I said, that's the problem. You're trying. You don't try to meditate. You just sit still and you do nothing. And you let the thoughts happen. You let everything happen. You have an itch on your body. It's just an itch happening. You let it happen. If I itch in meditation, I don't scratch. And it just goes away. I just observe it. It's just the body. The body is having a little sensation going on. I'm observing. The mind is over there thinking. I'm observing. Because I am not the mind, and I'm not the body, and neither are you. You don't try to meditate. You just be. All good for me. Okay, good. All right. So, we have divergent thinking, which is creativity, and imagination. That's where the magic happens. I'm going to spend time on that. That's where the magic happens. That's where creativity happens. That's where spirit works. Spirit works everywhere. It works in the logical and the creative mind. It's not restricted, right? But the spirit spends most of its time in that side because there's no limitations there. And spirit does not work inside the realm of limitations. I've learned that and still learning it. Because even when I have limited beliefs, because everybody has things that they have to work on. Spirit doesn't go, okay, No, spirit goes global. My spirit calls me son. He says, son, you must learn to think globally. No limitations, no matter what's going on in the human body, the human side of things. Consistent. No limitations. And then I have to go back to going, I'm an unlimited being. Because everything around you reaches limitation. So you must be consistently telling the mind, no limitations. That goes for me as well. Diana, exactly. Your only thing is before meditation is you intend to meditate. Then you close your eyes and you do nothing. People say, meditate on this, meditate on that. Even I talked about the clearing as a meditation, as a guided meditation. It's not. So I'm correcting that. I'm calling it a guided contemplation because that's exactly what it is. Because I'm using my mind. I'm putting out intentions. That's not meditation. No intentions involved with meditation. It's the art of doing nothing. Contemplation, however, involves that's intentions and all of that. And both of them are valuable tools. They both should be used, but don't conflate the two. Know what the other is for and what the others know what each is for. And don't conflate the two. They're not the same. Contemplation involves the mind. Meditation is the art of doing nothing. Observe, letting everything happen. You're not it. You're not the body. You're not the mind. You're not the emotions. You have a feeling going on within you when you're meditating. Oh, it's just a feeling. Just observe it. Let it do its thing. You're not stopping. You're not doing no effort. You're just letting things go, letting things happen. It's very hard for a Westerner to do that because in our culture, we must always be doing something. It's how we're taught. And we have to unlearn that behavior because it's counterproductive often to the spiritual process. Yeah. Oh, I love it. I'm gonna read yours. I love it. Thank you. I've been making it so hard. Yeah. Exactly. Don't make it hard. So if you have thoughts, you're not having the thoughts. Your mind is having them. Let your mind have. Do you know, even with thoughts, it's very important, those thoughts. Very important. Let them happen. You're not the mind. You're just sitting there. Oh, your thought, your mind, you're not your mind. You put it on stage. It's doing its thing. It's thinking. It's doing this. It's doing that. It's not you. You're just there doing nothing. Yeah, it's so hard because when someone says it's so hard, it's because effort is involved. Effort. You're trying to do something. If something is difficult, it's because you're trying to do something. Try doing nothing. And see, this kind of thing is not taught in meditation. You're taught, oh, go meditate on this. So now they tell you do an effort. See, because many of the people who talk about meditation or teach it don't know what it is. Don't know what it is. It's simple. You meditate every day. You just don't know it. That's why when I say we're natural meditators, when my meditation teacher told me we're natural meditators, he's right. When you go to sleep, when you're going to sleep, just before you hit the sleep state, you drop into a gap. I drew a picture of this once before. I just don't want to do it on just anything. I'll draw the, because when I do that, it was really clear to a lot of people when I did this a couple of lives ago. I do it. I'm at a desk. I shouldn't be asking you for that. Because this is important. So I'm going to take some time to show you that you actually meditate every day, whether you realize it or not. You meditate every day. Yes, you do. Yes, you do. So, can you guys see that? So, when you are awake, you're going to sleep, right? You lay your head on the pillow, you lay down, you start to go to sleep, and suddenly, boom, you hit sleep. Before you hit sleep, you hit this gap. Oh, well, I don't know.
We get it.
You guys get it, because I'm not going to draw it again. You guys get it, right? Because you know this is awake and this is sleep. It's simple. It's a simple graph. It's crude, but effective. So you drop into this gap here. And then you come back up, and then you're in sleep. When you wake up, when you go back to waking up, you drop into this gap again, and you come back and you're awake. This gap is the meditation gap. That's the meditation gap. You do it every time you go to sleep. You're a natural meditator. So what you're doing when you're meditating is you're extending the amount of time you spend in the gap. Experienced meditators in the old days will say, I'm going to the gap. And everybody knows what they mean. They're going to that gap. So instead of that gap being a split second, if you make that gap 30 seconds, that's a major accomplishment. And then the more you make that gap bigger, the more you can stay in there, the better. Now here's the thing. This is a word. You're a gem. Thank you so much. Out of so many, you've explained it so well. Thank you so much. Thank you for the kind words. So here's why you do nothing in meditation. Because you're duplicating exactly what happens in that gap. When you're laying your head and you're going to sleep, what are you doing? Are you doing anything? You're doing nothing, aren't you? So you want to duplicate that into your bring that into your meditation practice. When you're going to sleep and you hit that gap, are you contemplating and thinking about solving anything? Are you thinking about anything? No. No. Are you doing anything? No, you're just laying there. That's what you do in real life when you're meditating. Nothing. Just like you were doing nothing when you hit the gap. You're doing so much nothing, you don't even know that you hit the gap until someone like me came and explained it to you. That's how much nothing you're doing. So much nothing, you don't even know that you're doing nothing. Right. So that's what you want to do when you're meditating, because you're extending the amount of time you spend in that gap. Now, when you purposely do it, all kinds of thoughts are happening. Itch of the body. Da. It's still meditation. You got thoughts happening? It's meditation. It doesn't disqualify it from being meditation because thoughts are happening. Your mind is doing it, not you. You're not your mind. At times, where you hit that gap and you get up out of meditation, you don't even know how long you've been there. That is also meditation. And so prosperity says beta and theta mode. Not beta, but theta. The meditative state is theta. The beta state is the state you're in right now. This is what we're in most of the time. You're listening to me in beta. Alpha. You might be in alpha when you're on the brims of meditation. Alpha, the alpha state, to get you an idea what the alpha state is the dream. If you're in a daydream is a perfect example of alpha state. Somebody watching a movie and they're like this. There you go. Hey, you there? That's alpha state. That's alpha state. That's also a good state to be in. But when you're in meditation, the meditative state, the signature state of meditation is the theta state. Theta state. Deep healing occurs and that's all kinds of stuff. But don't do anything don't have any expectation, intention with the meditation. Art of doing nothing. Art of doing nothing. You don't have any intention. You're not doing it for any reason except for meditation's sake itself. That's it. And so when you know this, this is why knowledge is potential power. So when you get into meditation, Diana, you might be tempted to participate in your mind's thoughts. If you find yourself meditating and you start participating in your mind's thoughts, what does that look like? I use this example all the time, so some of you have heard it. Tanya is always here. And Tanya's heard this a million times. When you participate in it, this is what it looks like. You had an argument with the cashier at the register, and that thought comes. And you go, that cashier was so rude. Boom! The minute you do that, now you're participating. Now you're doing something. So you don't get mad. You just say, you simply pull away. And like you're an audience watching your mind on stage. It's an actor. You wouldn't do that if you went to a play and just ran on stage and started participating in the play. A lot of people would be pissed off with you and you'll get kicked out of the theater, right? So you don't participate with your thoughts in that way either. And you'll find yourself doing that. It's still meditation. You pull yourself back and you let your mind do its thing. And you don't judge it. Like you get out of meditation, I'm like, man, I was participating. You don't judge it. You get out of meditation, you're good. You're going back to business. One last thing about meditation. Do not just get up when you finish meditation. You sit there for 3 minutes and you let your mind and you let yourself come out of meditation. I don't care how alert you feel. You keep your eyes closed. Give yourself time to come out of meditation, 3 to 5 minutes. Because if you don't, you might feel a little rough that day. And you'll think it's just life. No, it's because you didn't give yourself time to come out of meditation. 3 to 5 minutes. Okay? Daydreaming is good. It's the alpha state. It's a relaxing state. Your mind goes through 5 states on a regular basis. It just jumps from them, but you don't know because it happens so quickly. You have beta state, that's the state you're in right now. Then you have alpha state, that's the daydream state. Then you have the theta state, the meditative state. Then you have the delta state, which is the deep sleep state, where the greatest amount of healing happens. You want to stay in delta as much as you can when you're sleeping, because that's when the deep stuff happens. And then of course you have the gamma state, right? The gamma state. And so you're always dipping from those one state to the next throughout the day. But they happen so quickly. The deeper you don't flip into a deep delta state while you're walking around, but you'll slip into it when you're asleep. That's your body has to be completely relaxed for that, deep down. And you're not dreaming when you're in delta. You're not dreaming. You're just there, and it's deep. Thank you guys for the kind words. Thank you guys. All right. So I'm gonna finish up with the mind thing, and so you want to use both ways of thinking. You wanna be a critical thinker, and you wanna be a divergent thinker. Use your imagination as much as you can. Just use it as much as you can. Right? So important. So important. There's a term going around now, and I hear it from time to time. And it's neurodivergent thinking. This is the term. And usually I hear it from people that are, they call it the spectrum, right? But it is not a medical term, and it is not a term that's used in the mental health industry. So when you look up the term neurodivergent, the meaning is very, very difficult. It's not clear at all. And I don't know where the term comes from, but it refers to people whose minds, according to the definition, I'm paraphrasing, whose minds are arranged differently so that they think very differently from other people. And so that's not a clear definition, and it doesn't help anyone to be able to comprehend or assist or help or be able to work with someone in that way based on the definition, because it's not clear enough. So when you hear the word divergent thinking, it's imagination, and someone has coined added another word to it, which really doesn't clarify, legitimate mental issues that people have, in my opinion. And so I think language is important because it helps us to address issues in our society. And now language is just being thrown around, and these phrases and things are coming from out of nowhere, seemingly. And more helpful terminology is needed so that we can understand each other better. So you want to be what's called a lateral thinker. And what you can do to really get more deeply into this, you can look this up. You can do this on the internet. There's an article called Three Modes of Thinking: Lateral, Divergent, and Convergent thought. So you look that up and become more informed of that, and this will help you understand more of how your brain functions, and it'll bring awareness, because awareness shows up in many, many different ways. You don't necessarily have to read spiritual stuff all the time to get awareness. Learning about yourself is the most important knowledge there is. And this helps in learning about how your brain functions, how the mind works, how important the mind is something I spend a lot of time on. I do a lot of even lives where I'm not even talking about the mind. It always comes to that because it is all about the mental. It's all about your mind. Just look around and see how many people talk about mental health in all of this. Knowing your mind is the best antidote and pathway to great mental health. Knowing it for yourself, not knowing it based on some diagnosis some person somewhere gave you. Angie, she says, so think like a kid again. Yes, you must think like a kid again. That's when you held the genius before they stuffed it out of you. I was very fortunate in that I did not spend my entire school life in the United States. I grew up in Costa Rica to the age of 11, where you went out to play and you just made up stuff. You just made up games. Because of course there's some games like skipping rope and all of that, but you went out into the bush and you just made up stuff. You just got things. You just created stuff. Just with your imagination. And that's where the genius lies. I had the opportunity to do that in nature. I had the opportunity to do that. Learn about plants and bushes from my grandma. Both my grandma and my grandpa were people of the earth. My grandma was a shaman. My grandfather, anything he planted. Anything he planted. So I grew up with that. Unfortunately, I spent 11 years before I came here to the concrete jungles of New York City. So that part of my development was very important, and very important to my makeup today. Think like a kid again is exactly what we need to do. All right. So we come to the point of the night where we're going to do our guided contemplation. You guys ready? We're going to do our guided contemplation. So this is very simple because you don't have to know anything if you haven't been here before. Someone said, yay, yes. Fantastic. If you haven't been there before, some of you have, I can tell. Welcome. And so in this, for those who haven't done it before, you'll be walked through everything, but I'll lay it out for you. I talk about the mind a lot. The mind is so powerful that one mind can shift the entire planet. We've seen it happen many, many times. All kinds of minds have done this. And your mind is capable of this. So instead of just talking about the power of the mind, why don't we just put it to work? We can put it to work right now. And that's what we're going to do. So in this guided contemplation, we're going to, number one, have an intention. Right? And so have an intention for yourself your life, and then have an intention for the planet. Whatever comes in, have that intention for the planet. Maybe there's a war, maybe there's things happening to other wonderful human beings, and you would like to have the best. You don't have to have the answers to exactly what you need to have, because that's not our job. Our job is to become the vehicle through which consciousness travels to create the positive changes on planet Earth. Right? And so have an intention for yourself in that. Now, let's say you can't think of one. Not a problem. You simply allow the divine within you, the higher mind that is also you, to do that part. That's all you got to do. If you don't even have one. That's what I do with most of my intentions. Because that mind does not have an ego and stuff and thoughts and all kinds of crap going on. That mind is the ultimate mind. You exist in many, many realities. And you also, the creator, the aspect of you that is creator, that's the part of you that is being imitated by the gods and religions and all of that. They want to replace the true creator and label it and give the credit and give the power to some god, something waiting out there who does nothing but feed off of you. The creator does not feed off of you. The creator is you. And so by people looking outside for some god and something out there, they never find it, but they believe it because a lot of other people believe it too. But many of you are here because you've come to your senses when it comes to that. The creator, the word creator is what it's always been, but it was reduced to gods to take that away from you. Because you see, you create all the time. So you might go, why am I going to another creator? I make this stuff, I create all the time. So they take that and you just make it something called a god somewhere. That's an imitation. The true creator within you would never lower itself to that level. The level of a needy god. Would never do that. So that's where we're coming from. And you, nothing on this planet can qualify you for what you are already born to do. Nothing. No qualifications, no certificates. You already got it because you're here. All right, let's get started. First thing we're going to do, now we've got our intentions set. First thing we're going to do is before I get started, I'm just going to give you a little overview. We're going to connect to the planet Mother Gaia because she's the one that's going to facilitate all we're going to do. And then we're going to connect. Once we do that, we're going to clear the space so that it supports what we're doing. And there are only two rules, real simple. No harm to yourself or anyone in any of your intentions, or otherwise it gets shut down. It will not be allowed to participate, just the way it is. No harm to you or anyone. That's the only thing that will shut it down. For you. And you must have it for the greatest good of all involved. You and everything else. That's it. Greatest good. That's it. All right, let's get started. The first thing we want to do, and this is a function of the heart and the stomach, the energetic belly brain, that's what's doing the heavy lifting. This part of our being never gets any credit. It's never spoken about. That's because of its power. It is the thing that moves. It is the thing that fuels these intentions. It is where the divine is going to function to move things. Here. Oh, they talk about this all the time. And this is important because this is where this is where your spirit lives and speaks to you. But the machinery, the power is in here. The seat of your emotions. All right? So these are the two. And by the way, when you become more and more and more aware and you start to go spiritually, your chakras are dissolved, and these three are the original energy centers. They cannot be manipulated, And that's what we're using. See, your chakras can't do this kind of work. Only what you came here with. And by doing this, you awaken that power within you. And you ask your higher self to dissolve the chakras, and it will do it when you're ready. You have to be ready. You have to be at a certain spiritual level, and then they will disappear. And then your chakras will be dissolved because they're not you, and your 3 energy centers, one here, here, and here, will go to work for you. Nothing can manipulate it like they do that other stuff, right? So we use these 2 parts of who we are to do this work. And we tell this guy up here, just take a break, it's okay. All right? Now, let us begin. I want you to imagine, let us clear so that this is a safe space for everyone involved. And so that it supports what we're doing. And any energies and frequencies that do not, we clear them away. That's all we got to do. Because if you say so, it's true. And I say so for this, so it's true. And so we imagine that from the belly brain, the gut brain, that powerful machine that is within us, roots start to flow like tree roots down the legs, through the calves, down your feet. And if you are in a high rise and there are people below you, with only just your intention, just have those roots gear away from other people's energy fields. Because they might feel uncomfortable and not know why. And you might feel uncomfortable and not know why. And then you don't want to do this exercise. But it's so important. You imagine those roots going down to the core of the earth and connecting, lovingly, respectfully connecting with our beautiful planet. Then next, we go to the heart. And we just imagine it's a curved line coming from our hearts and going and connecting to the heart of the planet. And then coming back around. Now, I didn't mention earlier, but if you can just breathe easy, just breathe, pause breaths. We let the body know that we're all in it together. Breathe in, take a second, and breathe out. Breathe in and breathe out. Now, we give thanks and gratitude to Mother Gaia for allowing us to do this, because she is the stage upon which we're on. And she's very much a part of this clearing. Without her, it can't happen. Not only are we on the stage of Gaia doing this, she's also participating with us. And so we're grateful for that. And now we also now set the stage, connecting to the divine, which is nowhere else but within us. Inviting that aspect of us, the great divine, to do its work within us and through us. And we send healing energy as well to ourselves in all aspects. The inner child, the emotional body, the astral body, the creative body, which is all that we've been talking about today. The part of us that houses and holds our ancestors. The parts of mind where the librarian of the subconscious mind dwells. And we're grateful to all these aspects, including ones that we have not mentioned, that are within us. and especially, of course, the inner child. Now, we call in up all agreements, bonds, vows, as well as any other energies that are responsible for holding us back, keeping us off of our true paths. And we take responsibility because everything that happens, we must be accountable for. But that does not mean blame or shame. It simply means we are showing up as the masters of our domain and cleaning house according to what is needed, without any judgment, any guilt, any shame, or anything of that nature. And we do so bringing all to the light to be cleared and cleansed. And we now put our intentions through, and we hand it over to our divine selves, because we are the vehicles of change, even though the divine does the things that we cannot do, and we do the things that the divine cannot do as the physical. We do our parts by setting the intentions and being involved in the experiences of this. And the divine deals with the how, the when, the where, and the what. That is not our concern. That is the concern of the divine side of who we are. So in that way, we work in tandem with the divine. And we involve all things that do not serve us, so that the things that do can now be brought in. And we include every energy, system, or frequency that is involved. And we do so from every timeline and temporal location, every dimension, realm, level, density, or reality. In every universe, multiverse, omniverse, infinite verse, and all existence. And through past, present, and future, through all time, no time, anti-time, subtime, space, no space, anti-space, subspace, everywhere and nowhere and throughout all parallel lives, existences, and realities. And we want to bring in our wonderful oceans and our wonderful earth and its soil. And one of the intentions that I deeply want to bring is healing to that aspect of the planet, with all of our minds powering through this intention. And all life on the earth. And so we open the gates so that consciousness can flow and its quality raised in frequency and shifted in vibration to the next level of where we are to be. From the sovereign authority of our core inner beings, we declare any of the facets and aspects that were named, including those that were not, fully and completely and thoroughly null and void. We remove all permissions for energies that do not serve. We remove them, whether we gave them willingly or unwillingly, knowingly or unknowingly. And we reclaim all energies, whether given or stolen. From the sovereign authority of our core inner beings, we declare and we dissolve, we dispel, and we disintegrate from every level and plane of our beings and wherever the intentions have been laid. All implants, overlays, narratives, paradigms, self-perceptions, self-beliefs that we hold, and any sadness, sickness, and fragmentation within us and the planet abroad to be cleared and healed. And this includes every energy, system, or frequency related. Let this be done for the highest good of all with divine harmony and timing and the most benevolent outcomes possible. And let your spirits and your higher self light the divine spark within your heart. This is the spark of your spirit, and so extremely important. It is the spark that lights your heart, coming from your higher self. And let that spark light your heart, for it only takes a few sparks to eliminate darkness. So that there is light and a knowing. Because from the darkness comes the light. And the light comes through the spark that is lit in your heart. All right, now if you're still in the process, you don't have to get out. You come out whenever you want. And Diana, thank you for the comments. You say, thank you, feet and legs feel heavy, goosebumps, and yawning so much. Yes, that is really, really good. Yawning is a form of release. Your things that are ready to go are going. And they tend to go the way they came. So yawning represents sort of like a wind, and it relaxes the body slightly, and so that you can release. And the heaviness in the legs, it's good. Just relax and allow the energy to flow. Down and out if it needs to. No, that's fine. Join the circle. That's all right. No apologies needed. All right, fantastic. Now, if any one of you, as you're here, if you're interested in one-on-one spiritual coaching, you can contact me, and we can arrange a free discovery call, and see if we're a good fit. we go through a very intense and thorough process. You start off at one place, but at the end of 6 weeks, because it's a 6 week program, you're completely transformed. So we do have spots available for spiritual coaching for those of you who feel that it's something that you'd like to participate with. Coaching and mentoring. I'm so grateful for you and energy flow. Thank you, Diana. So, yeah, if you guys are interested in that, just you can DM or you can go to the BIO. It's something else, and let us know. Now we will be back tomorrow at 8:30 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. 8:30 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Just in case, I think Energy Flow said I froze, but just in case you didn't hear me, I said we'll be back tomorrow at 8:30 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Yawns are good. Often when you do this, because this is energy work of the highest kind. Often when you do that, whatever your body wants to do, you let it do. Let it do. Sometimes we have sessions, and people feel like getting into certain positions, and we say, please do that, because the energy wants to leave the way it came. So if you feel like, if you're ever doing any work on yourself, and you feel like you want to get in a certain position, do that. Let the body, as a matter of fact, don't even think about it. You just let the body get into whatever position, and it'll position itself. It'll do it for you. You don't even have to think about it. You just get the feeling, and you just let it go. You just let it go. And there is a healing modality where you take marijuana and you take just a couple of puffs, and then you just sit back and you just relax and you just let the body flow. That, there's preliminaries you have to do, and we do that here, but you'd have to do it in person, and then you just let the body just do its thing, and then it gets into a position, and suddenly things start flowing out. Thank you, Slap That Bass. Thank you, Nathan. Okay, yeah. I'll stick around for anyone who's still coming out, and if you have any questions and comments, yeah, we welcome you to put them out. That's good. Yeah, this is so this is as I said, the power of your mind. So the same energy that some of you felt, like Diana and some of the others that you feel, that energy isn't just restricted to you. That energy goes out into the world. And for those of you who have participated in these lives and have done this, you'll start to see certain things come into view that didn't come before. Because this system of clearing, it was brought down. It's directly from the source realm to help us. So we don't have to rely on the things in this reality that have their booby traps, like spell work. You do spell work and suddenly something happens that you don't expect because you're dealing with a certain energy you didn't know was there. This is meant to be a complete benefit with no downside. And on the other hand, cannot be used for evil. It just shuts down. Just shuts down. But there's nothing that can stand against it. Nothing. Trust me. That clearing that I do tonight, if I didn't learn to do that, you would not be seeing me here with what went on in my life before I got to this point. There's nothing, because this is how the divine functions. Oh, thank you, Pot. Does the lies always calm you? Oh, fantastic to hear. How do you remove it? I didn't get what the first half of your question. Join the circle. Unless you were talking to someone else. Oh yeah. Oh, okay. No, it's okay. Okay, no worries. Ah, so I want to thank you all for being here, being a part of tonight's live. It's deeply appreciated. And just know that you are a limitless being. And it's okay if you're not there yet. You've got to know first. And sometimes, energy flow, and I talk about this all the time, and I say, oftentimes things that people bring things to the planet and they're not accepted, or they're small, or they don't seem like a big thing, and they're not appreciated for it. Art is the biggest example of this. Vincent van Gogh, couldn't he sell his paintings for anything on a street corner? He was laughed at. Why? Because the consciousness that he was putting out was far ahead of its time. And then when the consciousness of the collective caught up, they realized his greatness. So things come onto this planet, you bring things here. And when you leave here, you're in the eyes of others, you're just another person until one day the consciousness catches up to what you're put down. I second Energy Flow's statement there, you guys. Thank all of you that follow the channel, follow me and Energy Flow, and we really appreciate that. We will be back tomorrow at 8:30 Pacific time. Hope to see you guys there. Bring a friend. Or better, not just bring someone that's interested in the things that we're talking about. Oh, just opening it. Okay, Nathan. Fantastic. Oh, I think I missed that. RVS, you missed a lot? Come by tomorrow because I do the same subject. It'll be different. I'll give all the information. It'll be different because even though I talk about the same subject, the live is also affected by the questions that you ask and participation. So if you come by tomorrow, I put out a lot of information about how the mind works. You will get it tomorrow. Don't miss it. It's important. Don't be one of those people who asks for a second chance and then it comes by and they just forget about it. I know you'll be here. All right, Orly. Fantastic. Fantastic. Gratitude to have you here as well. All right, you guys. Good night. It was a great time. And we will be back tomorrow, 8:30 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Same bat time, same bat station.